It's Tuesday, July 26th, and this is Talk Commerce. Welcome to Talk Commerce. Today I interview Kalen Jordan. This is a segment of a longer interview where Kalen and I ramble on about a variety of topics. The specific topic we talk about today is employee happiness. Please tune in and enjoy this show. And now, your free joke. If I started a band called Ceiling, would that make people who enjoy my music ceiling fans? This episode of Talk Commerce is brought to you by Cricket Protein Bars. Crickets are one of the most common insects people consume. Insects like crickets are rich in nutrients, especially protein, and more sustainable than any other protein source such as Wagyu steaks or Costco hot dogs. Go to talkcommerce.com/cricket protein to learn more. This week's cricket tip: try substituting crickets, especially fried crickets, for peanut butter for anyone with a nut allergy. I can guarantee when they open up their sandwich and take their first bite, they're going to thank you. Crickets, they're what's for snacks. My name is Brent Peterson, and I'm your host. Please remember to subscribe wherever you download your podcasts. And now, Talk Commerce. All right, we're talking about some fun stuff today. You had some really good topics.
All sorts of topics, all sorts of fun stuff. We're going to go all over the map.
What is the name of your podcast this week, or is it a video series?
We're figuring it out as we go. And it will be revealed at the proper time. But
we are going to remix, and it is also going to be a bonus episode on Talk Commerce.
Perfect. Fantastic.
So we'll see. It'll be competing, and we should release it together. Same week, same Apple Podcast stream.
You're going to compete with my own podcast.
All I can do is try to keep up.
With that non-GMO microphone?
Yes. But I do feel like on my stream, I'm going to put a bunch of beeps in just to cover up your swearing.
Oh, okay. Son of a burp.
Yep.
Burpity burp. Yeah, I do swear a lot these days. Just not on podcasts.
You're in Texas. You have to.
It's a lot to swear about, including employee culture and happiness, which is one of my favorite topics.
Really? Okay.
It really is. I'm big on employee culture and happiness. I'm surprised that you're surprised. You sounded like you were surprised by that, which I don't particularly appreciate.
Because I'm not surprised.
That's my whole life.
That's your whole shtick.
I have a handbook. Have you read my handbook on employee culture and happiness?
No, we should read it right now.
Yeah. No, I don't have a handbook.
It could be like an audiobook.
Yeah. One of these days it'll be an audiobook. No, but that was something you wanted to talk about, was employee culture and happiness. So
yeah, I think in today's age when, we're here in Minnesota, the unemployment rate is 2% or something like that. It's crazy, wow. Like crazy low.
Yeah.
As an employer, you have to go the extra mile to retain your employees, right?
You have no choice. So is this just a pragmatic? Is this just a pragmatic thing? Listen, if the unemployment rate were higher, we wouldn't care about this at all. But because it's so low, we got to bite the bullet and be nice to people.
That is a great way to look at it. I will answer that in full transparency that you should not take unemployment rate into account. And the reason is, what does it cost to rehire the next person? The 2% is a hard wall for an employer to get over because there's simply not anybody you can hire, right?
Yeah.
Let's just say it's 10%. You get really sloppy in your hiring. You're like, we'll hire people and blah, blah, blah. And if they leave, who cares? Just because we can hire more people.
Yeah.
But does that mean because you've hired somebody new, that person is going to just hit the ground running? Like even in the programming world, developers theoretically could be the fastest onboarding person you could have because hopefully your project is detailed well and they can come in and they just look at the requirements. They're already qualified. They could start working right away. There's still going to be a week or two of
point them at some tasks and have them like jump right in theory.
Yeah, theoretically, they're going to have to learn a little bit, but let's just say you have 2 weeks or a month to get them up and running. Okay, but let's just say in the U.S., developers make whatever. We'll use a round number, $100,000 a year. What does that then cost you? That's $8,000 that you have to pay that 1 month of trying to get everybody up and running, onboarding, all those other things.
Yeah.
So
it's a lot of money.
I think that 2% unemployment rate is a wake-up call to employers who haven't been big on employee culture and should be working on that.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. No, and yeah, I was just kidding. It's easy for me to joke about these things because I don't have any employees, and then I give you a heart. You actually have responsibilities over there, so I'm busting your chops. But
I appreciate that question, and I believe that is a completely fair question to ask any employer.
I think it's a factor for sure. It doesn't change like what's the right thing to do, but it is a factor. But so you've been in the working world for a long time, since the dawn. So what are some things that are top of mind for you as far as like employee culture, people happy?
I think that time off is certainly a big one. Having well planned and thought out, like for a developer, right? A developer wants to have a project manager that is going to help them be better developers. They don't want help technically, but they need help
they just want things to be organized. They just want like requirements not to change, things to be straight. Like, tell me what I need to do. I can do it. It's not going to change 16 times. And then I can get it done. Yeah,
they want them to run interference. They don't want the client talking to them directly.
Yeah.
Hopefully the project manager can handle all that. So
yeah,
from an employee happiness standpoint, we want to encourage that and support that. Yeah. All those pieces as you come down the whole pipeline of getting work done.
That's really good, actually, because there's so many different, you could talk about benefits and perks, but I really think the core of what a developer cares about is exactly that. Make the work itself clean to whatever extent. In the real world, things are going to change. Requirements are going to be fuzzy and stuff like that. But as much as possible, make the process of getting work done, the project management structure, like straightforward. I think also probably you want to work on challenging stuff, interesting stuff too. That's also obviously going to be a big component. But like the work itself, improve the work itself as opposed to all the things around it that are important, are nice to haves, but they're not really the core of what your job is about.
Yeah, this whole discussion would be better for a panel if we had, say, 4 or 5 employers that like to just talk about what is it that they, or even employees like are just regular developers. No developers are regular. They're all extraordinary. Find 4 extraordinary developers, which are every developer, and ask them what makes them happy. You're probably going to get 4 different answers, right? Some of them want to get paid. Some of them would like lots of time off. Some of them would like flexibility in their schedule. There's all kinds of things. Vary. It is going to be varied. It is a complicated task, but that culture that any company embodies would have people that have been there for a long amount of time, and they would be the ones driving this culture. The ones that like the culture, so maybe it is about time off or flexibility, those are the ones that are going to stick around. And if somebody doesn't care about some of those other things, then all they want to do is make the biggest money, then that's where you see developers jumping around agency. And again, I don't want to make it sound too general, just because somebody goes from one agency to the other because they make more money doesn't mean they're jumping because of the money. There's all kinds of reasons. I don't want to generalize it, but it's just an example of the different parts of that encompass that whole idea of employee happiness.
I think of the dev teams that felt the strongest are where there's this combination of you enjoy working with your peers, you respect them, they help you and also challenge you. So if you have a problem, you can get feedback, get help, get support. The work is interesting. You have high level of autonomy or ownership of what you're doing. There's not a lot of red tape and nonsense, and then you get paid well. That's
all those things, right?
Yeah. But you're an employee, right? Are you technically an employee?
Yes, I am.
Are you happy? That's good.
Yeah, I think part of that is autonomy. You want to give people a degree of autonomy to be able, you want to give them space to make some of their own decisions.
Yeah,
so
that's huge. Yeah.
I think one thing that's always important is knowing what is that space, and then how does creativity go into that space. As an employer, you want to recognize that people need some of that space, right? And if you're demanding so much time out of it, what is an acceptable amount of time for either creative growth or personal growth or educational growth?
Yeah, because like I remember this one dev team I was on, and we were working on a new project. It was interesting. It was fun. It was exciting. And then certain people were building certain components of it. And when you talk about like creativity and stuff, like they were taking some very creative approaches to the architecture of how to build this thing. And we would talk about it and be, oh yeah, it's going to work like this, and it's going to be super extensible, and the code's going to be so clean. And you could tell they were super excited about it from like a creativity standpoint. And it sounded cool. It sounded great. But then a day turns into a week, turns into 2 weeks. And it's like the thing isn't getting done. And it's like, oh yeah. And they show you all the stuff, and then they have a good explanation for why it's not done. It's, oh, I got to do this, and then I got to refactor it. And they're all good reasons. And then sometimes people just get caught in like a loop of things can be complicated. And so that's the flip side of it, is if you're too creative, like you got to get stuff done. Like you got to get things out the door. Yeah.
In the development world, there's always a push and pull between the developer who is a perfectionist and the developer who's just a get stuff done developer. And I, in a past life, I did development work. I would never say I was a developer, a very good one anyways. And I was a get stuff done person, because especially if you're a single contractor, or you are the only person accountable to that customer, and so you're just trying to get as much stuff done as you possibly can. I think another good role for a project manager is to be that person who can say, this task actually takes this long, and to do it right, it's going to take that long. And the only way to get around doing it right is doing it wrong.
Right? The only way to get around.
The only way to not do it right is to not do it. You can say it in so many words, but if you want it done faster, you're going to have to take some shortcuts, and chances are it's not going to be right. Like, you're not going to write your unit tests, or you're not going to do QA on it, or you're going to skip over a bunch of functions or whatever it is. There's just things you can do to cut corners.
Yeah, and then that's the problem. Like, I'm a get stuff done developer, and I can move pretty quickly, but I'm not like the perfectionist. And then the downside to that, of course, is that down the road, you realize there's technical debt. There's limitations to what you built that really can start to compound over time. And I really should have taken a little extra time and done it but there's really no such thing as doing it. You want to do it as best as you can, and then improve on that. And this is why somebody that's been coding for 10 years is so much more efficient. Somebody's been doing it for a year, because they've gone through enough of those cycles that they can see the problems ahead of them and then fix them from the get-go.
Thank you for listening. The full episode will be available on Thursday as a bonus download in this same stream. Kalen and I talk about everything from how to pronounce espresso to running, skiing, swimming, and skateboarding, along with a lot of bonus surfing. Don't miss this Thursday the bonus episode of the Kalen and Brent Show. Thank you again for listening. My name is Brent Peterson, and it has been a pleasure to be your host today. Please sign up for our newsletter platforms at talk-commerce.com. Rate and subscribe to Talk Commerce wherever you download your podcasts. New shows out every week.